Up front.
Good evening. April 9th, 2014, Finance Committee meeting. Approval of minutes, 3/26/14.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, next thing I would like to do is finish the budget review. We have two people on tonight. We have the library director. Dr. Fitzpatrick will be here shortly, if not already.
He's out there.
Yep. And with Dr. Fitzpatrick, there's an article that he has on the warrant we could discuss at this time as well. So, Sue? The reason we asked you to come in is that we had a question why your budget was so far.
So, Mr. Chairman, we made an adjustment. It was one little math error. So the budget submittal will be $7,798 less than what was in the book. There was a couple of calculations that over. So the budget is $1,146,982 million. Certification minimum to keep the library certified is $1.109 million, so we want to keep the certification cost. The new budget reflects the agreed-to salary hourly rates of all the staff on the library based on the union agreement for 3 years. So we went through all of the employees, looked at what was the approved hourly rate and salary for them, and it came up to $914,582 for the salary line. Then there's the overtime and allowance that goes on to make the total salary line of $915,282. Total expenses are unchanged from what we submitted. It's about $2,000 more than last year, and DVDs and CDs go up a little bit, and the databases that are used on the computers went up slightly, so that was what the $2,000 increase was on the general expense line. Everything else pretty much stayed as it was. But the library director, who's here, will tell you about her request, and which I support, to elevate 2 positions from library clerks to associate librarians. The impact on the budget is about $1,200. And she also would like to elevate 1 supervisor to an assistant director. And that's a potential impact of $4,200, depending on who gets that position. So right now, it's a fully staffed library with all of the positions, with the new salaries and hourly rates. And Sue will tell you that the budget as presented fully supports an ever busier library as we move forward as a community resource. So I'll hand it off to the library director.
No, thank you. First of all, I want you to introduce Kate Mastriani. She's the vice chair of the Board of Library Trustees. And John Burns, the chair, couldn't make it tonight, so we have Kate instead. The reason I have pushed this budget is because I need continuity and I need flexibility. And as we all know, our job descriptions change and what we need to do to have an efficient library. And the way these 2 positions are currently in the union, they're limited, and I need more people that can do multitasking within the library. And elevating these 2 positions will give me that opportunity to cross-train more and to have more people know more things according to technology. And the reason I would like an assistant director is continuity. There are many times when I'm not in the building, and right now, without an assistant director, it's hard to decide who's going to manage when I'm not around. And just like other departments in the town, they all have assistant directors or somebody that will take over when they're not there. And it will free me up to do other things as a director should do. I do a lot of day-to-day management at the moment.
Question, Mr. Chairman?
Mm-hmm.
Sir?
The assistant director, I presume, is going to be a non-union position?
No, it's a union position.
That's a union position. And the 2 clerks that you're going to elevate?
They're also union positions.
They'll also be union positions. Do we need, in any way, shape, form, or manner, need to impact bargain these particular positions?
No, we don't.
Are you sure of that?
I'm sure.
Okay. And with whom did you check, if I may ask?
I checked with the union.
With the union?
Yep.
Mr. Administrator, do we have to impact bargain these Because we're obviously changing their work requirements.
I do not believe we do, but I will double check. I
Okay.
believe Sue is correct.
Okay, I'm hoping that you're
Yeah.
correct, but I don't want to make a move here, and then we have to backtrack and do the oops sorts of
No,
things, you know?
I totally agree.
Okay.
Yes.
Will these positions have management responsibilities?
They'll have more technology responsibilities. One of the things I'm trying to do is incorporate a lot of like wireless printing. And I need somebody there that can troubleshoot it. As we all know, we love technology, but we need a human face to make it work sometimes. And this will allow me, these two people will be at the circulation desk and they'll have interaction with the patron. So if there's a problem with either the wireless or the printing that we have now, they'll be able to take care of it.
My concern would be if they have management responsibilities and still in a union, you could probably develop some kind of conflict, right?
The last time that we had an assistant director, they were part of the union.
But they don't have any responsibilities as far as disciplining or anything
No,
like that?
only if I'm not there.
Correcting people in their everyday work or?
They do direct them if I'm not there, but discipline is my responsibility.
Now, would you backfill with the, once the clerks are promoted, would you hire new clerks to fill them?
No. Those jobs basically are eliminated. I've upgraded these two people to associate librarians. So I'm not moving any FTEs around, I'm just bringing them up so I can use them at another grade. And again, flexibility is the big issue right now.
My question, you got a question? Go ahead.
Yeah. Is there an assistant director category in the union contract?
Yes.
And I think my question is,
Same question on the associate librarians.
yeah, same thing for the associate librarian.
Is there a category within your contract, existing contract for associate librarians?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, there
okay.
is. Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman,
I've got
there
a
are
copy too.
categories, yes.
Thank you.
Was this position ever filled before?
Are we talking the associate librarian or the, I have 3 right now. There's 3, and I want to elevate 2 because as the jobs change, I can use all 5 in various parts of the library for certain, that particular level.
Anybody else? I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
First question is, are they qualified for the job?
Plus 12.
Who's qualified?
The people you're,
Yes.
yeah, obviously. They are qualified for the
Yes.
job. The impact on the budget is $5,400 this year. What is it next year? 2016.
Yeah. Offhand, I don't know. What is happening is that they're at step 4, they'll be the associate librarians, and they go up another 20 cents for step 5.
Well, didn't they get promoted from a 3 to a 4 or a 2 to a 4 or
Well,
something?
right now, the ones that fill these positions as the library clerks, there's 5 steps. They're at step 4
Before they got promoted.
before they got promoted.
And now they are?
They'll be they're step 5
Step
at
5.
library clerk. They'll be step 4 as associate librarian because the step 5 is lower than the step 4 for associate librarian, and then they'll have one more step, and then they'll be at the top of step 5, associate librarian.
So you give them a promotion, but their salary can't come down, so they go to 5.
It's the next highest one.
This, and then 4 this,
Yeah.
then they go up to next year.
And there's how many steps, or how many ranges within the step?
5, that's it. And the rest of it is cost of living.
No, aren't there levels within each step?
No.
Oh, it's just one, it's not like the school?
It's 1 grade and 5 steps.
It's not lanes.
When does the next contract come due?
They just settled it.
Last year is fiscal 2015, so after June 30th of 2015, I think, or 16. I'll have to negotiate again for a 3-year contract.
Took him 2 years.
Took them 2 years.
It's a 2-year contract?
No, it's a 3-year contract, but they finally settled it this past year in fiscal 14.
There's an article on the warrant
Yeah.
for $44,000 for
Back pay.
Back pay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Motion to accept the library budget as correct.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Oh,
Thank you, ladies.
thank you very much.
John, you're way away.
We try.
All right, we can have Michael come in. Over there. Chuck, probably.
Oh, who seconded it?
Oh, Willie second.
Yeah, that includes it, okay, I was just wondering if that was.
Paul, Dr. Fitzpatrick, how are you?
Super. How you doing, Mike? Hey, great job. Good to see you.
Marty?
Everybody. Hey, Alvo.
Hi, Mike.
Ladies. Good evening.
Came bearing gifts, Michael.
Always. Tom. You're right, Tom.
Not a problem.
Doc, how you doing? Nice to see you. How's everything going?
No, he's got the lawyer. What was his name? Tingles, Jelly. Wasn't it Jelly?
Leave me alone.
Father's the one that, bothered the name.
All right, gentlemen and ladies. Last meeting, I talked about the Blackstone Valley budget, and I asked Dr. Fitzpatrick to come in and give some detail of where we are, as well as discuss the article that was put on the warrant for a capital improvement project at BVT for about $2.9 million. It's article number 20, and I'll read it when we get to that point. Dr. Fitz, you want to go over the budget? We put in enough money to cover this, so.
Thank you very much. I'm sure as the chair made you aware, an inquiry was made, and we had a meeting over at the school. Chair came over, and we reviewed the concept of the, at this time, I think maybe at that time, the forecasted budget, now voted budget. And the chair indicated that he felt that the finances of the community were such that you could be supportive. We continue to emphasize that to the admissions people over who are non-political, kind of thing, that Milford is not only our hometown, but it's an undersubscribed town, and we've asked that whenever there's a tie in any subsequent scoring relative to the candidates who apply, that an undersubscribed situation has like a tiebreaker, you get a little benefit, kind of relative to coming in. The media has been pretty intense, more so this cycle than others. There are 850 candidates from the district who have applied to go to Blackstone Valley Tech for next year. That is 1 in 2 of the 8th graders in the district. Therefore, for that reason and others, in addition to the budget, we're advancing, or expected to advance at the April 17th school committee meeting, a $2.9 million venture to add 3 new vocational technical programs, and those programs are animal science with a concentration in veterinary assisting. We have entered into a business partnership and an agreement with the Southwick Zoo. This was before they added the draft, and also Tufts University up in Grafton, which is another of our member towns. The Brewer family at the Southwick Zoo has indicated strong interest in a close partnership. In fairness, the Tufts University people were concerned about a very small clinic that they have. They just don't want a lot of bystanders in the clinic, but they would serve in an advisory capacity. The second of the programs is engineering, with a concentration in mechanical and actually an aerospace component relative to the skill sets that are within that. Engineering has the benefit of creating a Chapter 74, or vocational technical approved program, currently not available in our school, and currently a situation where the neighboring VOC-Tech schools are selling the seats to people in Milford and elsewhere. The seats are sold at basically $16,000 and change, plus transportation. And so the school committee will be looking to add that. And the third program is a legal and protective services with a focus on cybersecurity. Interestingly enough, it was the Milford Finance Committee, Chucky Calagione and others, who back in when I first arrived at Valley Tech, which was actually 21 years ago, and asking us to consider offering some relief to the out-of-district tuitions, primarily for cosmetology, at that time. And we, with the support of the school committee, we added 3 vocational technical programs in a fairly extensive renovation project that was unanimously approved by all 13 towns. Now, that not only added 3 programs, but it added 100,000 square feet from our 200,000 square feet at the time. This is a much smaller venture, 1/10 of that other project. We currently are leaning towards not using the Mass School Building Authority in that project, so that we can do a lot of the work ourselves. And we'll still have to play by the rules and standards of the Department of Ed to have an approved vocational technical program. And they specify everything from square footage to other layout factors, safety factors, and many others. So those 3 programs are part of what we expect to advance. I did share with the chair and walk through some of the information, the 20-year actuarial chart for new debt. A couple benefits of looking at debt at this time. The 2001 existing debt was borrowed about 5%. And so we're looking to refinance that debt, and we can do that according to the state rules, as you've done, halfway through. So after 10 years, we're at the 10-year spot, we now can look at refinancing. In order to give me planning data, the fiscal people at actually the Unibank Municipal Planning Center did charts for me at 3.5%. And they have said that that's a very conservative borrowing rate at this point if we are able to, well, the refinance is probably something we're going to do anyway, no matter what. The savings at 3.5% is $854,000 for the last 10 years of the existing bond. That's shared according to the percentage which each town paid in, okay, under the formulas. All right. So it's a good time to retire some debt, reduce some debt, and look at replacing it to add new opportunities. So between the interest in coming to the school, the attractive borrowing rate of reduced refinancing, the attractive borrowing rate of entering into some new debt, the ability to do much of the work ourselves, and to reduce the exposure that our member towns have to out-of-district tuitions under the current arrangement, it seemed to make sense. I mean, as Aldo is, as a colleague in the superintendency knows that most people don't do this in the 21st year of a superintendency, and it's a bit crazy and wild, but it's the right thing to do, and we're advancing it. I have to say that while the media has a tendency, as you know from the project that you advanced successfully and quite impressively for the elementary school project in Milford, that the view of a handful who take opposition with an issue seem to dominate the airwaves, and certainly we've had our share of that. And so, I mean, I get calls from any place from the radio station or anyone else to immediately come over to respond to a question. That's not my style. I just don't do that. I mean, I don't mind going to the radio station, the cable TVs, any environment, and provide accurate information so that people, and I love to have the opportunity to answer questions in that manner, but to create an accurate information. Some of the most vocal opponents are people who are not licensed, not certified, have never toured our school, have never spoken to the chair of our school committee to meet with him, had never asked to be on the school committee agenda to convey their concerns, but somehow they became experts in this area. The difference is, I'm saying this is what I do for a living, and I am licensed, I am certified, and it's been a distinct honor to work with the Finance Committee here, and basically 126 Finance Committee members across the 13 towns. But countless citizens, Senator Richard Moore, Representative George Peterson, Congressman McGovern, and others have already indicated strong support and a full endorsement in any way. And this is growing. Momentum is growing on the project. All right, back to the budget. A year ago, okay, well, most of the questions, yeah, I digress, right? So a year ago, the budget was built on the governor's numbers, but not with a lot of confidence, okay? But they were the only numbers we had. Clearly, the governor, a year ago, identified a number of revenue streams to support Chapter 90 activities, road, bridges, schools, et cetera, that went in place. And optimistically, if not, without securing the commitment of the legislature for those revenue streams, they were never realized. We've always said that we'll come forward to you one time. We'll ask for what we feel we need, and whatever happens from then on, we'll make do. In many ways, we look at ourselves as being the 14th town. I mean, if we saw a $100,000 reduction in the promised Chapter 78 last year. When that happens to us, something similar probably happened to you. This year, we are again using the governor's numbers. Most people feel far more confident, not just because it's a retiring governor, but the fact that the revenue streams are more secure, more realized, and therefore we feel the projections are more dependable. The total budget increase is a 2.5% increase. Over the past 21 years, the budget increases have been fairly modest, and you have been kind enough to recognize that. We have avoided spikes, big swings. We don't have, towns have stabilizations and free cash. We have an E&D, or an excess and deficiency account. Under the rules of Massachusetts, that account cannot be greater than 5%. I understand that fully. This year, like the past 12, we've drawn against it for $250,000 to reduce the assessments. Obviously, you can't subsidize it to such a point you're into the absolute minimum contributions, but that's what we do. It will be our plan not to wipe out reserves, but to continue to replenish. Okay, one of the benefits we have in this year was we received a substantial settlement on a construction matter. It took a while. It actually took 7 years, so that, I was younger then, but in any case. But the findings were in support, and the auditors and the process, because it was linked to a previous Mass School Building Authority approved project, the $36 million one, that it was targeted for construction activities. So it's a perfect subsidy for the 2.9 offset plan at this time, and to use it to make improvements that, therefore, we made no capital request in the new budget. We have continually used retiree medical to be over and above the absolute minimum, because, number one, the state rules have said whatever you did in 1993, you should continue to do. That was recently reviewed and discussed at the legislature, and at the last reading that I saw was that it appears as if they're going to continue to have school systems, do what they've done as far as that pattern, and not be directed to use retiree medical against an absolute minimum contribution if, in fact, you didn't do that before 1993. The other outside one for a regional system is regional transportation, which is significantly subsidized, not to the level promised, but nevertheless under Chapter 71. The official request is around $60,000. I mean, you can look specifically as far as for supporting. One of the reasons it's slightly reduced is because the previous debt, before it's refinanced, is still a declining payment, as you would expect any principal. Milford continues to enjoy a competitive per pupil assessment versus the other 12. They're right in the middle at the $9,346, which is indicated in one of the charts. And so the information that's been provided in the handout, I trust I've already seen Paul Abedanz's, but others have the budget books that were hand-delivered. Again, they're prepared internally. Some of our students get a little involved in that in the sense of a student learning activity in graphic communications or media programs. And so we tried to provide something that is concise, not too flamboyant, and presents the information. The other charts show estimates. Both, any borrowing is proposed, as I said, at 3.5 for planning purposes. We do hope to do better. Of the 300 students in the senior class, some 115 of them are in cooperative education placements. So they're in job industries every other week. And I trust that you've seen some of the high-profile public relations. The school system, your Voc Tech School, was invited to be on Chronicle, Channel 5 in Boston, has been recognized in very complimentary editorials. The Worcester Telegram, the Boston Globe. We have constant visitors to the school. The most recent were 6 superintendents who are vocational superintendents from New York, who have a somewhat different system, referred to as a BOCES for anyone who's familiar with the New York system. We continue to lobby with the commissioner to be sensitive to the special and unique factors of vocational technical education. We might have better luck with the new governor, and we'll see how that plays out. But in any case, there seems to be lots of people who are eager to be associated with the successes of our students. But we find ourselves oftentimes have to lobby for the money and the support and the recognition and the equality of that. Are there any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Well, before you guys jump in, I just had a couple, because I'm pretty old, this and I'll forget. In the cosmetology program, how many students from Milford do you know if we have, do you know the number from Milford?
I do not. That would be a question I'd have to research and get back.
I think this group would like to know. And the other question I have with respect to that, because it goes to the new programs as well, how many actually applied for that program, and how many got accepted? And how will that affect, or how will that translate to the new programs that you're trying to put in? Your chart here says that 28 students go to Norfolk Aggie that could apply for these programs. Is that the way I read it correctly?
Well, the chart, I've heard several questions, if I may.
I know,
Okay.
too, because
All right. Okay, the chart is the DESE download of their data.
Right.
Anywhere I've gone in the Finance Committee presentations, the town administrators have alerted, by the way, I've also met with the town administrator and the new treasurer, the numbers are higher than that which are captured in the DESE chart. A person doesn't necessarily apply for a program to come to Valley Tech. They come in, they explore 7 different vocational tech, 7 out of the 17, right? And then there's a meeting of the minds between what the student would like to do, so oftentimes changes, very often changes from what they thought they would like to do, and the evaluation of the teaching specialist, who then now had, a half a year, as they explored these different programs. As Chucky Calagione and the Finance Committee in Milford had hoped, by adding cosmetology, regardless of how many students from a given town are in it, the town of Milford no longer was vulnerable to automatically pay the tuition
Right.
to go elsewhere.
Right.
Now, it's not supposed to be a hoodwink arrangement, but I'm saying when the opportunity exists, it's very different as far as the rules of Massachusetts. And people have a fair chance to go through exploratories, prove their interest and merit to enter into any one of the 17 programs. So there's somewhat different. But we certainly can look at a town enrollment by town. But just so you know, that's how the process works.
Basically, I know, I was here when we talked about that. I was, I think, relatively new on the committee, and maybe that was the year we had a big argument, I don't know. But the objective was to eliminate students going to
Agricultural school?
Tri-County.
In
and
Tri-County.
because of the difference in cost. I mean, it was significant at the time, was probably $4,000 or $5,000.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was 12 versus 8, but Norfolk Aggie was 17, which is still 17.
No, it's
They're 22
now.
20, yeah, well, it's too much money. So the question was to eliminate the students going to those 2 schools and go to our tech school, and still have the ability to go there and still have the complete number of people that wanted to go get in and apply. I mean, the point was, take them all out there and give them to you.
Well, yeah, well, okay. But in reality, it wouldn't quite play out that way. That's all I'm saying. That by creating a program, you have an avenue that gives this local superintendent, in this case, obviously Bob Trombley, an opportunity to say yes or no, depending on the finances of the community, to pursue a program that we have, or that Milford has. So if you don't have the program, the superintendent has little recourse to say no.
No, I understand.
Excellent. All right, but therefore, if 100 kids wanted cosmetology or whatever, then the superintendent would then have the opportunity to say to those who wish to avail, if they do it in a proper, timely fashion, right, that to decide whether or not he feels the town can subsidize that. All right, doesn't mean they can't go, don't go. They can do it, but they have the option to do it. If you don't have the program, it's a whole different ballgame. You just the vouchers, like a bill presented to the town, and transportation to go to the other system. There's no option. So it reduces the exposure, but it never eliminates the ability of people to go anywhere else. So it would still then be subject to the authorization of the local school superintendent. That's how it works in Massachusetts.
Okay. I'll, then I'll,
Dr. Fitzpatrick did mention cosmetology. It took us over 10 years
right.
to get cosmetology up there, and those of us that were required under Chapter 74 to get these folks to where they needed to be were always paying up front. And the transportation aspects was just unbelievable. And I believe even before I retired from the profession, we were trying to get some sort of program that at least mirrored what Norfolk Agricultural gave us, because the numbers there are just astronomical. Plus the transportation, I was looking, last number I remember was 17,000 for the tuition. I looked at this and it's 22,000 now. You can go to Texas A&M for less than that. But with all due respect, I think it's well worthwhile. And I was just looking at my former school system's numbers. I could actually write off what the additional money that's going to be paid to Valley Tech. Just knowing those numbers, I wouldn't have to, it's a great savings for us. And I suspect if we were to look at it from a Milford's perspective, Norfolk Aggie gets $285,000 from the town of Milford. If half of them were in the veterinary assistant program, it might almost, I hate to say this, but it may almost be a wash for us with regards to any kind of an increase, because there's less money going there, it's going to go there. So, I mean, I'd rather it were to go there than...
Yeah, that is the sentiment that the chair shared with me, and I've heard that from multiple finance committees and others. I'd also point out that Valley Tech coordinates the transportation of the out-of-district in order to help the school districts minimize the cost.
But they're just going to get on the buses we're paying for now anyway, so, I mean, that's a good deal. That's a good thing.
Albert?
Michael, out of the children that go to Norfolk Aggie, and I hate to pick on the school, but at 23,000, that's pretty significant hit for us, 22.8 or whatever. This new program we're putting in,
3 no.
but the veterinary one, the other two programs, I didn't think would really draw from Norfolk Aggie, or will they?
No, but they
Okay.
may draw
So
from
the
the
Norfolk
school.
Aggie
Our
population,
district.
out of 10 children that go there, how many of them would be covered or eligible? You know, because if we have a veterinary assistant program and only 2 kids go to Norfolk Aggie
Yeah.
for veterinary assistant and 8 go for something else, then your available market size is a lot smaller. What's your feeling for, is it 80%, 20%?
Again, I wouldn't know exactly what program they're
Gut
enrolled.
feel, Mike.
But, okay, I'm saying, some people, I think, pursue some of the equestrian programs.
Yes.
While we might be able to pet the giraffe, but we don't expect to be riding it, the kind of thing, so that it would reduce, but your point, will it involve all of them? Absolutely not,
Right.
okay? It's interesting. A year ago, I proposed the expansion. And I ran into the 60-day rule, okay? And the 60-day rule is, there are 2 rules of thumb after debts voted. We have 7 days to notify the town that the school committee voted debt, provide certifications of that. Each town has 60 days following the notification to hold a town meeting. Well, last year, the town meetings were in April, May, and June in the 13 towns, okay? So we didn't have much of a shot at the 60-day rule. And the 60-day rule in Massachusetts dictates that if the town doesn't hold a meeting, it's a yes vote. Or you have to incur a special town meeting. Well, we have never done business like that. I mean, you force a vote and things like that. So I pulled it back, all right? So I said, but I'll come back a year from now. Meanwhile, with all due respect, Tri-County Regional Voc Tech added legal and protective services. So one of the things that, there are 25 other regional voc tech systems. A lot of them sell seats because it's a nice cash cow. I mean, it's discretionary money, it's kind of nice. And back in the days when you started and Aldo's talking about the times of, you know, the request for the cosmetology program, Tri-County was getting 350 to 500,000, I mean, almost $500,000 in revenue. All right, we get none because we don't do it. We don't sell the seats. But you can see the competition. Even when we paused for the reasons I mentioned in not doing a new program, I wouldn't say the competitor, but they saw the opportunity to add a new one to draw some more kids from this district. That's what they, you know, so it generates, they come with money. There's a check in the
Michael,
pocket.
when we did cosmetology, we
Yeah.
looked at the population going to Tri-County.
Yeah.
We said virtually 90% of the kids going there could be served by our program at VVT. That made it very easy to understand. We won't get all of it, but at $8,000 a shot, that really offsets a lot of the increase. I'm wondering, out of the kids going to Norfolk Aggie, your estimate that we won't hold you to,
No, it's fine.
is it 10% of the kids would be eligible, 50, 80?
I'll go with 20%, okay, for a number. Cosmetology has a defined, what they call SIP code, what some people call DOT codes, all right, Dictionary of Occupational Titles. It's a very defined area. So when another system has that particular specialized program, and we create the equivalent, well, that's a straight trade.
Yep.
The other one, as you point out from your initial question, this is one of the programs that the agricultural school offers, not all of the programs that they are.
So you're
Right.
thinking about 1 out of every 5 kids would be eligible?
It's something of that nature,
Okay.
okay? Without having more accurate.
No, but I mean, that
information.
gives us an idea. We're not gonna be able to save
Yeah.
80% of the Norfolk Aggie bill. Maybe save 20.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Well, yeah, before you go, Aldo, I spoke with Superintendent Tremblay and asked him if the other two programs, other than the veterinary one, are similar to what we offer at Milford High School, and the answer is we don't offer anything like those two programs,
No,
so.
then my second
again-
question is the other 2 programs.
Yes,
Are those children being serviced out of district now?
yes, yes.
And that would be a Tri-County, or where would they go for the other 2 programs?
Well, the peripheral schools are Bay Path in Charlton, Tri-County in Franklin, Keefe Tech in Framingham, possibly Worcester.
So again, of those 2 programs, 10%, 50%, 80%?
Well, the engineering, you've got more consistency now with the cosmetology example in those two. The finance committees in the Blackstone Millville area mirrored what the Milford Finance Committee did back in 2001. They're paying for engineering programs because engineering at Valley Tech is an across-the-curriculum theme, but not a separate program. This would be a straight-up, offset for anyone enrolled in the engineering program. Okay, and I'm really not trying to pick on another school. I'm just saying, but that's where they're recruiting, and that's how they can recruit. Back in the days of the cosmetology issue, Tri-County had masonry. All right, and that was another program that they recruited. They have since eliminated that program. But you never can predict exactly what the competitive environment will do as far as I didn't expect them to add legal and protective services. We got caught up in the sensitivity of a 60-day rule not to do that. And yet, bingo, there's a new,
But for engineering, you feel that
that's a straight trade.
our program would address the children who are going out of our BVT
Yes.
to other schools?
I do. Yes. But in fairness, I want to point out, nothing holds the other schools from adding additional programs.
Sure.
Okay, in this competitive environment.
But they could anyway.
That's true. And they just
Whether you
did.
put in-
They just did.
Whether you put in these programs or not, nothing holds them from adding new programs anyway.
Right.
That's always true. But our hesitation to act increases the options for the others.
Right.
You lose ground by standing still, if you may.
Any questions about the budget? Sir?
Dr. Fitz, these 3 programs are, I think, an excellent choice. I think they're exactly what the society needs for answering what is out there for jobs. Just a quick question on the 3. What is the breakdown of students per shop in that? Is it even, a third, or what are your numbers for each one of them? Because I wasn't sure, because you know, obviously cybersecurity is a very popular thing. Is that shop going to be a lot larger than the veterinary program, or what kind of breakdown do you have on each one of those shops?
The initial plan is a very gradual implementation over 4 to 6 years. Each program will be targeted to 15 to 16 students in the first year. So there would be balance.
Okay.
If we didn't have the very robust placement that you mentioned, or potential, the Department of Elementary Secondary Education wouldn't allow us to open the programs. They won't allow us to open a program to reduce your exposure for tuitions.
Yeah.
We have to guarantee, we have to provide the evidence that there's a strong market, both a strong employment market and strong student interest. We'll have to satisfy them. We're starting to do that now, but you're right, the data speaks to itself. But each of the programs will be equalized in their student recruitment until we see other factors.
Yeah. And at what point how many years out do you have to go before a shop can grow larger and cover yourself with that?
It's totally up to us. I'll give you an example. For some years ago, when I arrived, the electronics program was massive in square footage. And the electronics would have had military oscilloscopes, Heath kits, and a variety of other kinds of, learning activities. EMC was a strong recruiter of the students who were graduating from their program at that time. Changes at EMC resulted in far less, strong employment potential for the large area. Meanwhile, we had a relatively small area, because we're 50 years old, and we started as an all-boys school, but we had a relatively small square footage area committed to the health assistant. Health assistant, dietary assistants, the nursing homes, so many clinics and, activities were strong in the place. So we had weakness in the large area, strength in the small area. So we moved them in the summer. We totally transitioned. I welcome you to visit, and Mark has been in the building, and others have been in the building, but to see. So it's interesting, because sometimes you run into little grievances and things like that with the Teachers Association, but aside from that, we transitioned with using our own staff. The electronics area, which now is a health complex, training 3 times the number of health assistants that were in the small area. And electronics is in the smaller area, which we renovated, and never to a point where people weren't safe or any of that. But this is the kind of transition. We're doing this all the time.
Because I know your information technology, which is one of your newer shops, is one of your bigger shops now. What a great turnout in that, obviously.
Actually, and maybe ironically, one of the largest shops continues to be culinary arts for multiple reasons. Many people, in Milford certainly, we worked for all kinds of catering firms over the years. It was one of the ways in which we made a few extra dollars. And these kids work for restaurants, catering firms, and all kinds of things, which generates revenue while they prepare for consideration within that profession. Anyway. But so it's an ebb and flow. It's a constant change. We're looking at it all the time. And our renovations are constant. But we also have drafting that can do the designs. We have HVAC that can take care. We have plumbing if they're willing to help out, carpentry, construction, electrical. We have the different departments that can, that we can recruit. Oftentimes we recruit retired teachers who come in either after hours or in the summer, sometimes with student help, to help with these renovations.
Thank you.
Although you're all set.
I'm set, thank you.
All right, budget increase, $59,828. That includes debt, approved debt.
Before the refinancing.
$54,000 just operational budget. Is there a motion?
Mark, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, while you're here, Dr. Fitz, let's talk about, we continue to talk about it, but I want to read the article. It's Article 20. See if town will vote to approve total of $2.9 million debt authorization in Blackstone Valley. School committee on April 17th, cost adding to equipping, reconstructing and making extraordinary repairs to the regional school, including all costs incidental, blah, blah, blah. A portion share of debt payments computed in accordance with the regional agreement commencing in fiscal 16, which I thought we discussed 17.
The borrowing rate, fiscal advice, my initial plan was 17.
Right.
I've been advised, don't wait that long.
Okay.
Move in 16 while the rates are
Because the
where they
rates are low. Milford share.
It's charted at God bless you, $31,799, okay, in the first year. All right, can I comment? You have the full schedule. It looks like this document here. I see several people have referenced it. It's in the handouts, okay? If I may. Mr. Chairman? All right. This schedule was built with several factors in mind. First of all, as just discussed, a one-year delay. I even thought a two-year delay, but in any case, in its current plan, it's a one-year delay for any financial impact to the town, or any town in our district. The actuarial chart is calculated at 3.5%. Once again, as I mentioned before, the financial people tell me they can do better, but we wanted to be conservative, not overpromise, so it's at 3.5%. We could conceivably blend in the reduced finance of the old debt, okay, all right, as an offset. That's not in this chart. This is only the new debt. And the school committee has indicated support for a rebate plan that I advised in order to make this as attractive and as affordable and as achievable as possible during several of the member towns, I'm sure you realize, are nowhere near the financial situation that Milford, with your guidance and help, and have found themselves. In fact, there were at least 3 of the member towns that have massive Proposition 2.5 overrides planned to get through next year. A year ago, I sat in those towns and watched them wipe out all their stabilizations, all their reserves for reoccurring cost. And that's an Armageddon, as we well know, and something you've always avoided. And retirement looked a little attractive at that point, but instead of doing that, all right. But that's the environment in which is being advanced, all right? So what the school board has supported is a 50% rebate, okay? So obviously, at $32,000, it's basically like a $16,000 offset in the first 2 years, the highest years. Okay, so you got the delayed factor, you got the interest rate factor, you got the rebates, you got the refinance, and hopefully reduced exposure on out-of-district tuitions eventually. Those are some of the factors that came into play, and this is what I shared with the chair. The only change is the lead time, where my recommendation was rejected.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Michael, would you anticipate your tuition numbers for the new students, for these specialty not specialty, but the new programs, would it mirror your present tuition number?
They will, yes.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is that if I'm looking at Milford's debt in year one, is 31,799.
That's correct.
The question that my colleague Al asked was how many of the number of youngsters would likely be availing themselves of that program. If ancient history means anything, Al, that my experience was that 80% of the youngsters that I sent to Norfolk Aggie and to Tri-County went for cosmetology and went for animal husbandry, veterinary assistant, things of that sort. So as I'm looking at it, 1.5 students, the tuition for 1.5 students would cover our share of any capital, and that still leaves us a little bit of wiggle room to cover any increase in the tuition that we would be responsible to pay as a result of these students being in there. So come back and I say again, it looks to me as if it's the way to go.
Don't you have to use the delta?
No, I think realistically, your concept is correct. The numbers are a little shy.
Shy, right.
Because we're not saving the full amount.
Right,
We're
you're saving the
8,000.
delta.
So, but again, Aldo, I think you're right on the money when you say it's 3 or 4 students.
Right.
It may not be 1 or 2, but if we hit 3 or 4 of the students we're sending out.
Covers the cost.
One, it keeps them in our family, which we all agree is a good thing. But 2, financially, we end up doing better.
Right.
And if you do more than 3 or 4,
That's,
it
They'll
goes
pay
to
us money?
we try to do.
They'll pay us money.
Well,
Yes, hold your breath.
Yeah. What we did to mitigate operational costs, we have $330,000 in grants specifically committed to those 3 programs. Okay? In the FY15 budget that you just supported are 2 positions that will be reconfigured to help with the new programs.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, once more. What I like best about it is that we, as member communities, and you as the regional district, will have the opportunity to regulate the tuition numbers. Whereas those of us that sent our youngsters out had no control
That's the
over
point
the
I was trying to
tuition
make to the
number.
question.
They just,
No, I
we were
understand.
just told what the tuition number would be. Here, we at least have input, and we can, have a say in whether the tuition's gonna go up, down, or sideways.
And that was the spirit of the message and the challenge that I heard years ago relative to this finance committee. And even though some of this surfaced in slightly, other colleagues, a little bit to the Rhode Island side of us, the mission is similar.
For those of us that were on the border and close enough that our youngsters would opt to go to either of those two schools, we fully understand, what this means to us with regards to our out-of-pocket costs.
Yeah. Well, and the vast majority of the finance committees that have actually voted, it's not uncommon that when I present, the committee decides to reflect, and some finance committees vote at the town meeting to continue to watch the scenarios, but that the vast majority have been in support of the expansion project.
Any other question? Hear a motion?
Second?
Favorable motion.
Yes.
Any discussion? All in favor? You had a question, or you were voting
No, no, in
ahead of
favor,
time?
in favor.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Fitz, you're good to go.
Got a few direct questions, huh?
Yeah, do you see the numbers that my old school system is sending out?
I know. Do you see what happened? I sent a, may I? Okay. I sent a congratulatory card to the.
Why
new-
not?
To the new superintendent, only to discover it wasn't the new superintendent. He turned the job down.
Who was picked?
Keough.
Andy?
Yeah, but he didn't take it.
Really?
No.
Where are you going to dinner next week, Mike?
This is history here.
We said we would answer any question the finance committee had.
You did a
That's
good
it. There you
job. Thank you, Dr. Fitzpatrick. Artie?
Thank you.
All right, team. You all got a copy of the warrant, which I'm sure you either printed out or I have on my tablet. Yeah. I don't want to talk to you. So what I'd like to do tonight, we have this 30, what? I don't know, probably a reporter. There's 32 articles on the warrant. I sent out a new one. Originally, it was 31. The selectmen added a new one on Monday night. What I'd like to do tonight is get half of them done. Because we have some major articles to discuss next week. And so what I'd like to do is start with, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 14 are housekeeping articles.
I would move, Mr. Chairman, favorable.
Second.
What were those numbers again, please, Mr. Chairman?
Say again?
What were those article numbers again, please?
5, 6, 7,
5, 6, 7.
8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 14.
Suffice to say, 5 through 14.
No,
No.
11's out of there.
So no.
9, 10, 12,
Got it,
13.
got it.
14.
Everything except 11.
Thank you.
No, 5 through 14
Wow.
except
Minus
11.
That's what I meant.
Those are all housekeeping. I motioned when I lost half my team. What happened?
I moved favorable.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Good. Okay, a couple of other general articles, but this, we can discuss tonight because they're not complicated, I don't believe. But who knows? All right, Article 2 is the wage and salary schedule for next year. Both salaried, part-time elected, and clerks. It's all in the warrant. It's based on 2%. I'm not sure what the selectmen voted, well, they haven't voted yet on what the other salary increase is gonna be. You gonna go with 2 across the board?
They are, 2% for Article 3.
2% for Article, I'm on Article 2.
Personnel.
Right, Personnel Board, they voted 2%. Hear a motion?
Move.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? I have one thing to discuss or mention here. The, where was it?
One thing to mention.
Yeah, no, it was important. The Personnel Board voted to put the Information Technology Director as a grade 6. And I know that we posted that position at a grade 6. The max salary for that position is $91,445. I think some of us feel that may not be enough to hire a good technical director, IT director, for what we're looking to do for a $92 million business. So I'd be interested to see what kind of resumes come in and how that's handled. Because we may, I don't know what's going to happen. Sir?
This, grade 6, was that a recommendation of the committee?
No.
No.
Where did that salary, how did it get pegged at that salary then?
Well, the Personnel Board went through the job description, and that's what they came up with.
Okay, and any input from your committee? Not your committee, but the committee that you sit on, Chris?
We were not approving of that, but that's what the Personnel Board came to. Mr. Valani sat in on the meeting, so.
I just want to bring it to people's attention because it's on this year's warrant as a new position.
Sure, and I think it's legitimate to ask. We set up a committee, we all agreed that, and we all supported that committee, and I think they've done a lot of footwork, and one would think that they would weigh their opinion heavily.
Plus, we put the numbers in the budget for a much higher salaried position.
Mr. Chairman?
Sir?
So whether it's directed to you or Chris, so is it clear, just so everyone watching and hearing or whatever, you made a recommendation for something? Or you made a recommendation for the dollar amount and then it didn't happen?
Yes, we did, and Mr. Valani made that clear at the meeting to the Personnel Board, and the Personnel Board decided to deviate from that.
Was there any rationale given?
I apologize, I was not at the meeting. Any direct questions of that would have to be to Mr. Valani.
I know it's extemporaneous, but I thought it was worth mentioning here.
I think it is.
Yeah, it very much
It
is.
is worth discussion.
I know. 1 minute. There was a question asked, you want to ask it again?
Sure, just for, people watching as well as our own knowledge, a recommendation was asked and you made a recommendation and they knew the salary and still?
I did make a recommendation within the parameters that our task force had talked about. They have, as you know, a process where they look at the job description. They have a numerical type point system based upon a number of factors, and based upon their point system, they determined that it would go where they put it. Grade 6, I was looking for, if you looked at grade 7, which would have put us right where
We want it to be.
we want it to be,
Grade
which
6 is obviously not even within the,
Well, it's probably the low end.
it's the low end.
so the
correct.
maximum amount of grade 6 is on the lowest end of.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Give or take about yeah. But
Couple
yes,
days.
that's a fair statement.
And were there follow-up conversations about what the market's driving versus what their numerical equation is
Well,
coming
that
up
was my
with?
question. Is it based on municipal IT director, or is it based on?
I don't think they make
You
that
guys compared those numbers, didn't you? You compared those numbers of area folks too,
Yes, we did, and
Look, and
that
that's-
was presented to them as well, and Rick did an excellent job of showing all the other surrounding communities and
thought so,
the,
okay.
and the amounts that these people are making.
We
So
had
that's
average,
why,
just average municipal area ones with somewhat comparable population sizes and budget sizes.
that's why I was so
Showed a different number.
surprised on the
And-
number that was
And the
returned.
job was advertised,
It's been
Yeah, it's
posted.
being advertised now.
being posted now with what salary? This,
The Personnel Board
Personnel Board
recommendation,
salary.
yes.
Recommendation.
We're getting a fair number of resumes, to be fair, in only a short period of time.
It wasn't a question about the amount of resumes.
understand
it's
that.
The
I
quality of
understand
the
that.
resumes is what is more important to
I
me.
understand that.
And I think it's the point of everyone at the table.
and my last follow-up on this, I promise, is, has there been conversation or any correspondence, again, back to the Personnel Board based on their decision?
Absolutely has been.
Thank you.
Very good points, Will.
Al?
There's one thing that has me confused on this, Rick.
Yes.
We're rating the IT director.
Yes.
So the senior level player is a level 6.
Correct.
If I read further in, under section C, as in Charlie, we rated the support technician as a level 6.
Yes.
So I'm a little confused as to,
different scale.
No, different scale.
Different
Oh, yeah,
scale.
oh, yes, oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
One's an hourly rate.
One's an hourly,
Salary.
yeah.
because when I look at what we went out in this area to recruit, to get the level of person we wanted, this salary range for the IT director seemed very, very low. And I'm concerned that in the past, twice already, we've spec'd it at a low level.
Right.
And what we were able to recruit into the position was not a person with the scope to run an $80 million enterprise.
92 million.
Well, 92, but you know, you
Yeah.
look and you say,
That's the
back
point.
when it was 70 mark, we tried. Then we tried again, we were, high 70s. But in essence, it's an $80 million enterprise, $90 million enterprise we're running.
Right.
The salary scale seems low to recruit somebody. At least in industry, I haven't found that we could recruit the level of person we wanted
Right.
at that level.
Which is my concern, this is the reason I brought it up.
Valid concern, I have the
And I would
same
hope that we,
concern that you.
Rick, I would
Yes.
hope that we maintain the expected performance and experience level that we thought was needed. And if we can't find it
Absolutely.
at that range, then I'd rather pass over it.
We have had that discussion, and I agree
My concern is, I
100%.
think what Willie's getting to is that we don't settle and say, here's the best of what we got. If they don't meet the requirements, we could be back to where we were for the last few years.
Exactly the reason I brought it up.
And it's a valid point that has been discussed and agreed.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
Now, who's the hiring manager? Right, so
Mr.
No, it's selectmen.
Awfully super,
But the selectmen,
selectmen.
when you point to yourself, I assume
Superintendents, yeah.
it's the
board of
selectmen. So
yeah.
the
That
selectmen
person will-
really
will be on
have the
board.
ability to say, yes, we have the person of the experience and caliber we want in the pool, or no, we don't.
Or we don't, and
And
then
we'll go back.
therefore, we,
So I guess that's the
Proceed
only thing,
accordingly.
is we trust their judgment, we just want to go on record as saying, if you don't find the right person, let's hold off and come
Yeah.
back in the fall.
Do it right the first time.
Right.
Yep.
Okay,
We've had 2 strikes already.
Yep.
thank you, Rick.
okay,
Thanks, Rick.
thank you.
Article 3. Article 3 is salaries for elected officers, elected positions in town. 2%.
Not across the board.
Oh, what didn't go up?
I believe the selectmen's salaries.
No, these are
Just,
elected officials,
oh,
not part-time elected.
That was the other one.
It's actually salaries.
Okay.
Part-time elected was under 3, I believe.
Three.
Okay.
Right. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion.
Yeah,
Are we on
we're on
Article
three.
No, it was Article 2 was part-time elected and elected officials.
Okay.
Which are we voting on, 2 or 3?
3, we've already voted on 2.
Right, so I make a motion that we accept Article 3 as presented in the warrant.
Favor.
Payroll.
Second.
Second, Jack. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. All right, Article 4 is the budget.
Okay.
We've gone through all the budget. We had a discussion last week about the letter that the Personnel Board put out was somewhat confusing. People budgeted at 3%, and in fact, they came back at 2%. Paul and Zach went back and readjusted the budgets back to 2% for those. I think it was about a $10,000 change. And you have a copy of that. Paul handed it out tonight with the new P&L and the budgets attached, corrected, which will be submitted as Article 4. Discussion of Article 4?
Was there any big pushback from the departments going from 3 to 2?
No.
So Mark, the only
Yes,
thing on
Bill.
Article 4 is it was adjusted by the library change that was discussed tonight. So the total is
$4,400 difference?
whatever it is.
I'll make a motion, Mark.
Second.
Any discussion on the budget?
We have to adjust the figure for the library.
Well, we're gonna. Paul will adjust it by $5,400. This number will change by $5,400, which will
Why don't you amend your amendment?
subtract $5,400 off the surplus. Which will make it 41,874
Mark, so I'll amend my motion.
to the amended.
Yeah, to the amended amount.
You'll second the amendment. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? If you look at that P and L that Paul put together, I mean, there's a total surplus at this point in time of $226,000, and it's concerning me. Not very much. So if the governor comes in, with something that we didn't expect, I mean, we may have to go back and look at all of this and see where we have to go. Just for edification, so everybody knows. I had a facts sheet too, and the other part of that concern is some of the articles on the warrant are going to require some significant dollars, and a lot of it may come out of excess and deficiency and surplus, so we gotta watch how we spend the money this year.
We usually do.
All right, yes, we do. Article 11. Article 11, see if town will vote pursuant to section 4, chapter 73, to approve additional exemption up to 100% of the currently allowed exemption for all eligible real estate tax exemptions under general law, chapter 59, section 5, or take any other action. I believe that's, Rick, that's the veterans, right? I mean, the seniors.
Correct,
Senior.
yes, and I will obviously have numbers from the,
Yeah, it's not a lot. It was never a lot. Like 8 grand, 10 grand, 12,000, in that range, right? We approve this every year,
Move
but I
favorable.
took it out of the,
Move favorable.
any other discussion? Gentlemen, we all set? Yeah, seconded over here. All in favor? Opposed? Just point to somebody. All right, Article 15. Article 15, transfer of sum of money, $45,000 to fiscal 2014 Veterans Department budget. We'll take any other action. That's this year's budget.
Right.
Okay?
They talked to us about this.
We talked about this, and there are a lot more veterans. and-
We'll move favorable, I second it in favor.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Do we anticipate this to occur next year as well, and have we adjusted next year's budget?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. The rest of the articles, as I went through them, I believe are gonna require the proponents to come in and talk about them, which is going to make for a very long meeting next week, so I would like to try and get another meeting besides next week's. I know we have the youth center coming in, we have that Article 17, which is about the land. Planning board's got 4 articles that I don't understand, and I think we need to have some explanation. I know it's not a money issue, but I think we should know about it, since we have to make a recommendation. Board of Selectmen have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 articles that I think need some discussion because they have money involved with them. They'll be quick, okay? Those articles will be quick. And we have the Board of Health's got 2 articles that I,
Those aren't the Board of Health articles.
no, they're not the Board, you're right, they're
They're proposed
by a
residents.
private citizen, correct.
Board of Health has actually voted negative on those.
Well, that's what I need to know, but
So
I
we could
think-
defer to their recommendation or something.
I can't hear you.
We could defer to their recommendation.
Well, I don't have that data. I mean, what I'd like to see is a letter from the Board of Health stating that they voted, you know, negative on those articles, unfavorable on those articles.
Bring in the proponent?
Mark, can we
We
just
don't
start
usually.
earlier next week? I mean, on the 16th, instead of starting at 7, can we start an hour earlier?
Up to me, I'm okay with starting at 6.
I'd like to see if we can get as much into a night. I'd rather have a longer night than try and,
See if we can bang it out in one meeting.
Well,
one or two versus
I mean,
three.
let me put it this way. If I schedule the right order, we can get the quick ones out of the way quickly. which is what I try to do, and then we'll have, at the later time, we'll have the armory discussion, we'll have the conservation land discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Sir?
is there any possibility that you could go either Tuesday or Thursday? Because I'm tied up for the next 2 Wednesdays.
There's no rooms, that's the problem. We looked at that whole week, and we can't get a room anywhere. Brian had a meeting with the Youth Armory Commission, and he was gracious enough to give up the room for us, because he's gonna present that
If we
night.
started at 5:30, I mean, the big question is like Willie coming from Maine. I mean, could we start at 5:30 and get you, at least then you'd get half the meeting in, or?
Well, my meetings begin at 6:30. So, if it's at all possible, I mean, if we went on a Tuesday or a Thursday, would we be as booked as they are now?
Yeah, that's the point, the whole week was.
Do we have to meet here?
Well, that was my
I-
question.
yes, that's
Do
the
we have
object-
to be on TV?
Do we have to be on TV? No, but would I like it to be on TV? Absolutely.
Well, you can
Yeah,
televise
then
from the
you're
high
locked
school,
in.
too. You could broadcast from the high school. They broadcast. I mean, that's just, I'm asking for that consideration, because I obviously
High
can't
school
be
could
in
work.
2 places at the same time, and I'm definitely
Not a
committed
bad
at that
idea.
end.
High school could work.
It's not a bad idea, although, actually.
I come up with a good one once in a while.
Oh, God help us.
I mean, like Tuesday night?
Can it
and
come up a little more frequently, Aldo?
Well, maybe we can do Tuesday and
It's a
Wednesday.
strain,
Maybe we could
Bob.
do the high school. I'll check with
Melissa.
Superintendent Tremblay on to see if.
Well, he'll be in China, so he has a long-distance
Oh,
call.
he's got a cell phone with him, doesn't he?
Would you like me to check with Melissa tomorrow?
Please.
Okay.
Tuesday night, can we make Tuesday night? We gotta get a quorum.
I have a question, because I know
But
that.
before you have the question, we have to get a quorum, team.
Ah,
And I know a couple of us are not here
I can do
tonight.
Tuesday, I can't do Thursday.
I'm just the opposite. Can't do Tuesday, but I can do Thursday.
Well, Tuesday, I got a problem.
Yeah.
I can't do Tuesday.
I can do either of them.
Tuesday's difficult for me, I'll be coming home, so.
All right, let's leave it at Wednesday, and next Wednesday we'll make a
We start
decision.
early Wednesday and try and get more out?
Get as much as we can get done, Al. Next Wednesday, we'll have a meeting.
Yeah,
We'll
and
discuss
if it
the
gets
follow-on
late in the
meeting.
evening, say, hey.
Hey, you know what? If we have to meet Saturday, we've done it before.
Yep.
Right.
I just need to get it all done because we need to get a report out 2 weeks ahead of time.
I'm worried about doing the Teachers Resource Center, only because I see what the cable guys.
Yeah, no, I'd rather have it here,
set
but
up. They go through a lot to set up a meeting there, because nothing's hardwired.
Is that
listen,
right?
if
Yeah,
we
no,
have,
they gotta bring it all in, they gotta set it all up.
if we have to do it Saturday morning here, they could tape it and broadcast it.
Yep.
So I can live with that.
Okay.
All
What
right?
about the library? We've met there many times.
No, we gotta have,
But you got the same problem, you're putting a real burden on the cable guys.
yeah,
to
no,
bring
we
everything
already
in.
have it here. We're good to go. Let's meet Wednesday night, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
We'll start with that. I will try and arrange, and I'll send out the information to everybody. Arrange a schedule so I can get most of the articles out of the way quickly, and,
You didn't want to try for this Saturday, did you, Mr. Chairman?
no.
Okay.
I mean, next week I got a problem, so, I mean, Wednesday night is
Next
about the
weekend is
best I can do.
Easter weekend, by the way.
Following
Following.
weekend. Easter Sunday.
Yeah, but it's good. fun.
Saturday's not a holiday. Not a holiday where I live.
It's my baking day.
Woodridge Road?
It's my baking day.
Not a holiday on Woodridge Road?
I'll tell you what,
Isn't it Passover weekend?
Passover is Tuesday night,
Ah,
So we'll have no meeting on Tuesday.
no meeting on Tuesday.
No meeting on Tuesday.
because we have to put, never mind.
Yeah.
Any old business? New business?
Sure we can't start at 6:30?
Stop.
What?
Not you. All right, move to adjourn. All right, thank you. Good night.